Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, your reliable destination for precise updates, professional perspectives, and real-time developments surrounding Iraq's evolving currency story. In today's segment, we tackle an increasingly urgent topic that's drawing attention across investor circles: the noticeable pause in the long-awaited revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. Despite earlier optimism and bold projections, fresh insights now point to a troubling possibility. Influential entities could be purposefully hindering the process from moving forward. Lately, the air around the revaluation has shifted. Conversations that once brimmed with confidence have grown quiet. Key meetings appear postponed or abandoned altogether. According to seasoned analysts, this isn't due to simple red tape or sluggish bureaucracy. It's something far more deliberate. Well-placed insiders with a vested interest in maintaining the current system are believed to be the root cause of this resistance. Their fear that a stronger, internationally recognized dinar could lead to heightened global oversight, a crackdown on illicit activity, and an end to a system built on hidden transactions and unchecked power. This gridlock is rooted deep within Iraq's intertwined political and financial structures. Major banking and legal reforms, essential for a modern accountable system, continue to face delays. Legislative efforts aimed at increasing transparency and accountability are routinely blocked or watered down. Analysts say until Iraq can overhaul its financial management and digital infrastructure, there's no viable path to a revaluation. But each time a plan is introduced, it collides with opposition, be it from partisan struggles, slow-moving ministries, or resistance from entrenched power brokers. At the core of this battle lies a struggle for control, not just over Iraq's money, but its international partnerships, national identity, and future trajectory. For those benefiting from today's chaotic and murky framework, reform poses a direct threat, and while reform-minded officials push for change, they face pressure from both within and outside Iraq's borders. In private meetings, international advisors have reportedly expressed frustration, warning Iraqi decision-makers that continued foot-dragging could scare off future foreign investment and jeopardize long-term economic ties. Inside Iraq, the tone is also changing. The general public, once hopeful about a turnaround, now voices rising discontent. Living conditions have stagnated. Inflation continues to erode buying power. Government jobs are stretched thin and expectations remain unmet. With each missed deadline and each vague promise, the distance between people and policymakers grows. If this pattern continues, the threat of social unrest becomes increasingly real. One of the biggest sticking points is the unresolved 2025 federal budget. Without a formal framework for the year's spending and income, the country is flying blind. Arguments over how to divide oil profits, public salaries, and provincial aid have stalled the process entirely. The budget fight has become symbolic, a tug-of-war between competing visions for Iraq's future. And without an agreement, vital financial reforms are left in limbo. That means no legal foundation exists to launch or support a revaluation. Complicating the landscape further is the geopolitical factor. Reports hint that some regional powers would rather see Iraq remain economically subdued. A weak dinar keeps Iraq dependent on imports and external financing, giving neighboring countries leverage through energy, trade, and political deals. A revalued and independent currency would alter that equation, and not all regional actors are ready to welcome that shift. Another critical issue lies within the central bank of Iraq itself. The institution is hamstrung by outdated systems, leadership vacancies, and questions surrounding its operational integrity. Political meddling has weakened its independence, and frequent leadership changes have slowed progress. Add to that ongoing fears about money laundering and lack of global banking compliance, and you have a central bank that may not yet be ready to execute a successful revaluation. The International Monetary Fund has also added its voice to the debate. In recent communications, the IMF emphasized that Iraq must first tackle deeper structural weaknesses before any currency adjustment can be considered. Their list includes trimming government payrolls, ending fuel and utility subsidies, and ramping up domestic tax collection. While these reforms aim to stabilize public finances, they come with political consequences. Many Iraqi leaders are reluctant to implement measures that could provoke public backlash or threaten their political standing. Despite these many hurdles, there remains a quiet sense of hope among observers. Experts are careful to note that delay does not mean denial. The Iraqi dinar's revaluation is still seen as a likely event, just not under the current economic and political circumstances. For this to change, Iraq might need a shift in leadership, increased public advocacy, or perhaps a new alliance within its fractured government. The road to revaluation is still open, it's just blocked by those unwilling to embrace what comes next. As discussions around Iraq's stalled currency revaluation continue, the global spotlight is beginning to turn toward how international alliances and leadership dynamics could play a role in shaping the nation's next steps. Among the voices that continue to resonate within global financial circles is that of former President Trump. While no official policy has been announced under his name regarding the Iraqi dinar, economic insiders have long speculated that a strong dollar policy and a renewed focus on Middle East stabilization, both key themes during his previous administration, could influence regional monetary developments. Supporters of former President Trump often point to his transactional diplomacy, arguing that under his leadership, Iraq had more defined expectations and incentives. During his tenure, there was increased dialogue on international trade deals, oil production agreements, and financial independence, all of which indirectly tie into currency valuation. A stable and stronger dinar would not only support Iraq's recovery but would also reflect positively on broader American foreign policy outcomes, especially if framed as a result of regional realignment. With 2025 now in full swing, many investors and analysts are carefully watching how the United States, regardless of administration, might respond to Iraq's internal fiscal stagnation. There's mounting pressure for global powers to provide clearer roadmaps for nations seeking financial reform, and Iraq sits high on that list. The next few months could prove critical as conversations behind closed doors begin shaping new alliances, reform packages, and investment terms that will either unlock or further delay progress on the dinar. Meanwhile, financial institutions and private currency holders remain on high alert. Rumors of sudden changes continue to swirl online and within forums, but experts caution against falling for unfounded speculation. There's currently no credible sign of an immediate revaluation. However, movements within Iraq's legislature, central bank staffing, and foreign advisor involvement suggest that preparations are slowly being laid for a future shift, just not on a timetable that casual observers would find satisfying. On the ground in Iraq, economic frustrations are bleeding into other areas of public life. Small businesses struggle with inconsistent policies. Oil production, still the backbone of Iraq's economy, faces logistical issues due to infrastructure decay and export disputes. With every delay in financial reform, the average Iraqi citizen pays the price. What was once viewed as a patriotic investment in the nation's currency is now turning into a burden for many. Still, public sentiment hasn't completely soured. There remains a spark of belief that change is possible, but it's going to take more than promises to restore confidence. One emerging dynamic worth monitoring is the rise of civic activism pushing for financial transparency. Grassroots efforts are calling for public access to government budgets, foreign agreements, and central bank reports. While these demands have been largely ignored by the political elite so far, social media and citizen journalism are starting to apply pressure. This wave of information sharing could eventually erode the secrecy that's allowed corruption to flourish unchecked. Additionally, new technologies being tested across the region may soon play a role in reshaping Iraq's banking system. Blockchain integration, digital payment solutions, and real-time auditing systems are already in pilot phases in neighboring countries. If Iraq adopts even a portion of these tools, it could drastically reduce fraud and accelerate readiness for a revaluation. The challenge, however, lies in getting past the same political barriers that have blocked every other form of progress. For currency holders outside Iraq, patience is wearing thin. Many invested in the dinar years ago with expectations of short-term gains, but now find themselves in a long-term holding pattern. Financial advisors consistently recommend a cautious approach. Don't over-leverage based on rumors, avoid unofficial exchange services, and most importantly, understand the difference between market potential and current reality. One final note on timelines. There is no specific date for a revaluation. Any video, article, or forum claiming otherwise is speculating. While certain fiscal cycles such as budget approvals or central bank reports may hint at possible movements, no announcement has been made by any official body. As of the current date in the USA, no legal mechanism for a revaluation has been signed into action. So where does this leave us? Iraq's revaluation is still a real possibility, but only under a restructured system with a willing leadership, international cooperation, and domestic stability. The story is far from over. Political winds shift quickly, and so can financial policy, especially when public pressure and global economics converge. Whether the change comes in months or longer, those watching closely will be the first to spot the signs. Thank you for staying informed with Iraqi Dinar News. If today's update gave you clarity or perspective, we encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. Stay alert, stay focused, and remember, major shifts often arrive after long periods of silence. Keep watching this space. The journey continues.